guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're here for the first time, my name is Priya and I'm a newly qualified doctor working in the UK. And I'm going to be taking you guys on a journey along with me to see how being an F1 really is like. If you haven't already, do check out my most recent video on my first day working as a doctor. My husband and I started this YouTube channel and we post regular videos on our channel on medicine, travel, faith, and a little bit of everything that we get up to. So if you haven't already, do check out our videos, click the subscribe button, and become part of our YouTube family. As you can tell from the video, I'm going to be speaking about something quite sensitive today. I'm going to be sharing with you guys my experience of having to verify a patient dead for the first time. I'll also be going through how I did it and also how I felt, and I'm just going to be going through the whole experience with you guys. The whole point of speaking about this is because as medical students, I don't think we're ever prepared for this. I don't think you get enough experience or enough teaching about the emotional aspect of it. We're taught how to do it, but we're never really taught, or we never really hear the experience from other doctors or how it was really like. So the whole point of this video is going to be just giving you guys a little bit of insight of what it's like, and also how to do it and how to document it in the notes. So guys, it's story time again. So the first time I had to verify death was during my night shift, during my first set of night shift, during the first couple of hours of my night shift. Working a night shift is quite different to the daytime because there's fewer people around. Patients are normally asleep. You get quite unwell patients at night. So I just didn't know what to expect. I've never done a night shift before. So during my first night shift, I went in, we had a handover, and we went in like usual. We were going to clock in new patients. I picked up a patient. I started preparing their notes. So I was just looking at all their blood results or the scans they've had, etc. When I had a nurse walk up to me. She comes over and she goes, "Are you the F1 today?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "One of our patients have passed away. Would you want to verify the death?" And in my head, I'm thinking, can I verify the death? Because I don't know the patient. I've never seen the patient before. I didn't know how it works. And I said, again, not knowing how to say no, I was like, "Yeah, of course, I can do that." And she goes, "Okay, that's the room." So when the nurse told me I need to go in there and verify death, I just froze. I just didn't know what to do, what to say. I mean, I can't say no because I'm the on-call doctor during night shift. There's no other doctors to go verify the patient is dead. Like, it's my job. I have to do it. And I just felt like I just didn't have that moment to just sit and think, oh, this is what I'm going to do, or I'm just about to walk into a room with a dead body. Like, I just didn't have time to just kind of collect my thoughts. And the nurse just literally just pointed to the door and said, "There we go verify the death." And I was just like, okay. And I just had to go and do it. So I quickly go over to the doctor's office and I asked one of the doctors there, I was like, "Can I verify the death? Because I don't know anything about the patient." Oh, well, I know about the patient because I'd done the letter, but I've never seen the patient. And they were like, "Well, the doctor who'd seen the patient would have gone home by now. So yeah, go on, like, this is how we do it. You need to go verify the death." And I said, okay. So I don't really do much thinking. I don't really know what I'm expecting. I just take my stethoscope, I go put gloves on, I put a pinny on, and I walk into that room. So usually patients are kept in a bay, but then we also have side rooms where it's an actual just one single room with toilets attached for the patient. So I walk in, I open the door, and that's when it hit me. I'm going into a room where there is a patient or a person who has passed away. There is someone on the other side with no mind or soul, or they're not breathing. They're just a dead body. So I was walking into a room with a dead body, and that literally struck me as I walked in. And for a second I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to turn around. That's how I felt at that point. But I was like, this is my job. I have to go certify this person as dead. yet we have to, when we walk in, we still have to introduce ourselves, which I found really weird. I still had to go in and be like, hi, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so. My name is Priya. My name is Priya Biju. I'm one of the junior doctors working here. I still had to introduce myself, and I just felt so weird. And so the patient was just lying there. The eyes were open. The mouth was wide open. And I don't know. I don't know if I should have been feeling this, but I just felt really scared. I felt nervous. And I just never imagined it to be like that. Like, obviously in med school, we had a simulated station where we had to go certify a dummy dead. But I obviously felt no such emotions. Like, the only thing I was thinking about was, oh, what do I check? When do I do it? What order do I do it? Obviously, when you're working with the dummy or when it's simulated, the whole emotion's taken away, and so you're never really prepared for this moment when you're actually with a person, someone who was breathing a couple of hours ago, and now they're just dead. So that was a lot to take in, and I got really scared. I don't know of what, but I remember speaking to the patient and saying, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, let's just say Mr. X for now. Mr. X, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And then I had to, what we do is we do like this trapezius squeeze, like where we squeeze the trapezius muscles, so the shoulder. And obviously it's just to inflict pain and see if they respond. Obviously, if they're not responding to voice, you see if they're responding to pain. Then I have to check the identity of the patient. Usually we ask them, can I begin by confirming your name and date of birth? And obviously that doesn't work here. So we have to check their wristband for their name. And I just had to pause for a second, and just, the room was so quiet. And I was just looking at this patient thinking of the life they would have had, just thinking of their last few moments, just thinking of how they would have been feeling. Like, all these emotions come to you, and then I just had to snap out of that moment and think, right, I shouldn't be thinking about anything. I shouldn't overthink it. I should just examine the body and leave. But I could just sense the tension and how intense everything was. So I just had to shake it off and be like, okay, stop thinking too much into it. Just examine the body, just leave. Because otherwise I was just getting really worked up over that. So then I did the whole examination, and I just, I had to close the eyes. I tried to shut the mouth, and I covered the body with the sheet. And I just left and thought, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe that was my first ever experience of verifying death. I've done it, It was just a really weird feeling. And for the rest of the time, all I did was I was just sitting there, and the patient's face was just in my head. For the entire time, all I was thinking was, oh my God, I need to stop thinking about that. I just need to stop, And then I just went out, and then I had to, the thing is, what I should have just taken some time out and just let that thought go. But instead I was just like, right, I shouldn't think about it. I should just carry on with the next job. And then I just, went in, took the patient's notes, and I had to just document what I had just done. So document the verification of death. Yeah, and then that was it. It had to be one of the strangest feeling ever. It was crazy. Like, even to this day, like, it's been 2 months since I verified that patient dead. I can still see the patient's face. I can still feel the way I felt when I was going in to examine the body. But I think it would have been so much harder if I had looked after that patient. The experience was made so much easier because I didn't know the patient that well. Maybe that's why I was able to handle it so much better. But yeah, that was my experience in verifying death. So for all those medical students out there, or doctors out there, or people who are going to start work in the UK, I just wanted to briefly go through what verifying death consists of. I'm just going to quickly speed through the procedure. And for those people who are non-medics and who are just watching this video as out of interest, I'd just like to give you a little bit of insight about how we as doctors verify a death of a patient. So what are we trying to examine? We're looking for a heartbeat, we're looking for a carotid pulse, we're looking for chest movements, we're looking for any breath sounds. We're also going to be looking at the eyes. We're going to see if it's fixed and dilated, and we're also going to do a corneal reflex. So these are the 6 things that we look for or we examine when we're verifying death. So we examined all of these things for 5 minutes. And obviously, if we were to do each one for 5 minutes, we'll be in there for long. So we do a lot of things all at the same time. So what I do is I feel for the carotid pulse, then I have my stethoscope on their chest, and I'm also looking at their chest. So I'm trying to see if I can feel a carotid pulse, if I can hear any breath sounds, if I can hear a heartbeat, and also if I could see the chest move when you're breathing. We do all of this for 5 minutes, and trust me when I tell you this, it felt like the longest 5 minutes of my life, because you can't hear anything. The room is super quiet and you're not feeling any pulse, you're not hearing any chest sounds, you're not hearing any heartbeat. So it was a long 5 minutes, but that's how we verify death. And then you go to the eyes, you're looking for a corneal reflex. So I take a little tissue or a cotton wool, and then you open their eyes and then you put it on their eyes. And obviously if you try doing it, you'll be blinking, but you're kind of trying to see if you can get a corneal reflex out of it. And you also shine a light into each of their eyes to see if they're fixed and dilated. So you see the black pupil in your eye? You don't think you can see mine? I've got really dark eyes. But if you think about the pupil in your eye, when light comes in front of your eye, your pupils will constrict. Whereas in someone who's passed away, their pupils will be just fixed and dilated. Light is not going to cause any reaction to happen. So these are the things that we check when we are certifying or verifying death in a patient. And then we move on to a very important thing, which is documentation. So documentation, it's a legal document. So we have to follow a certain criteria when we're writing out the results of our examination. So I'm just going to put up a sheet as an example of verification of death. So as you can see, initially we have to confirm the identity of the patient, cross-reference with notes and the wristband, and we document all the things in the notes. So these are the things that I put down exactly how I've laid out every time I verify death in a patient. So on the first line, I always write verification of death. And then next I write the time and date that I examined the body. And then I will write, I tend to just put it in bullet points like this, so it's very easy to see. I write the date and the time of the last observed breath. So this could be the last person who saw the patient and who spoke to the patient last. And I also write their name on it. And then I record my examination finding. I write whether there was a heartbeat heard, whether there was carotid pulse felt, whether there was breath sounds heard, where there was any chest movement seen. And I write down that I've examined this for a whole 5 minutes. And then I write pupils, and then I write whether they were fixed and dilated. Either I write pupils fixed and dilated, and then I'll write yes next to it, or I will just write pupils were fixed and dilated. And then I will write, then it's corneal reflex, whether they're present or absent. And then I write this one line which just says patient verified as dead. Then I finish off the documentation by writing my full name, my designation, and my signature. And I also write my bleep number. So obviously I put my bleep number in just in case someone wants to get in contact with me about the verification if they need any clarification. Clarification. I cannot stress to you guys enough that this is the last bit of documentation that's going to go in the patient's notes. You actually write in a format that is legible. that is neat. And I cannot stress this enough. Like, it really annoys me when doctors come and just squiggle whatever onto a patient's notes and leave. Like, I think it's disrespectful, and I think it's not being considerate, and I also think that's very unprofessional, especially when it comes to verification of death. I think you should put that extra effort in and write as neat as you can, because this is the last set of things that you're ever going to write in this patient's notes. I would say just take that extra bit of effort, extra bit of time to make sure you write neatly and you document properly. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight about what goes on behind those doors in hospital, also how we verify death, and if you're a medical student, an aspiring medical student, whether you're in med school now, so you get a little bit of insight of what we are going to be going through when you graduate as a doctor, when you start working. This is part of our jobs. It's difficult, it's crazy to think about, but I think once you do it a couple of times, you will get used to it. At least that's what I keep telling myself. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on this, or any tips that you guys have about how not to get emotionally attached to patients, or how you're going to deal with this situation, or how you've been dealing with situations like this, fellow doctors out there. Please do share some wisdom. Also comment down below any other videos that you'd like to see, any other experiences that you think I should share, and I would love to hear from you guys. And if you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel. The button is right there. It just takes one little click, and show your support. It would mean a lot to me. I post regular stories on my Instagram about how my days have been. I discuss cases I've seen and also things I get up to during work. If that's something that interests you, do follow me on my Instagram. The link is right below, and I'll also put it in the description. Thank you so much guys for watching. Press the bell icon so you get notified every time I post a video. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and on that note, bye guys.